Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Ms. Sharippa's online classes. So, I made some changes to what we're going to do with this online learning in realizing that we need to do stuff that makes sense to you guys. So, one thing I figured is that you're all watching something at this point. So whether you're watching a movie, you're watching a new TV series on one of the different streaming networks, we're all watching something. So what we're going to do for our first assignment this week is we're going to be writing a review. There are a couple of steps that you need to take in order to write a successful review. And I want to go through some of those things with you today to help you better understand how to do it. So there are really only two steps that you need in order to write a successful review. The first step is you need to be able to summarize the plot. Now, the one trick with summarizing the plot is that you can't give away any of the important details to the story. So when you're summarizing the plot, you need to tell us what happens without giving any major details away, because then you're ruining the story and no one wants that. So you want to think about what the premise of the story is and start with that. So you give us this idea of what the overlying story is. So now if you're doing a series, you might choose to do the entire series, or you might choose to do just specific episodes depending on what you're up to, and that's completely fine. I'm going to be very lenient with what you choose to evaluate. I'm looking more at how successful you are at actually doing that. So step one is to summarize the plot. Step two is to actually evaluate what it is that you're watching. And you do that in two steps. You have to evaluate the script, meaning the actual writing, and the acting on the part of the actual actors. So when you think about that, evaluating means you are giving your opinion about what is going on. Your opinion needs to be strong. You can't be wishy-washy. So you can't say it was kind of bad, but there were some good parts. You want to be strong in your opinion. You want to think about, is the character that you're watching believable? Because if yes, you believe that they are who they're acting as, then that means it's good writing and good acting. If you're not so sure, that means that there are some flaws in there. So you need to really look at and pay attention to the dialogue happening between the characters. And when you're doing that, you might notice that some characters are actually more believable than others. And you should definitely include that in your evaluation as well when you're doing this review. You might say that there were some stronger actors and name those actors, their real names and their fictional character names. So that way the person reading the review understands what it is you're talking about and who you're talking about. So now I just want to go into a little bit more detail about how to go about the writing, because that's what I'm going to be looking at, right? So you want to have a strong opinion. And when you have that opinion, you then need to back it up with your evidence, right? You can't just say this is the best show ever because I loved it. That's not enough when it comes to a review. So you want to pick a specific thing that you're going to explain, right? So you pick that specific idea and then you support that with specific evidence from the show or movie that you are reviewing. So for example, if I wanted to give a review on Criminal Minds and say that Criminal Minds does a great job of creating suspense in this episode, I would then say that the episode kept me on the edge of my seat because the unsub, as they refer to the bad guy, was always one step ahead of the FBI agents, leaving them notes at each crime scene. This gives the reader an understanding of what I mean without giving the specifics of the detail of the show. Because remember, you don't want to ruin the show for somebody. You don't want to ruin or spoil the ending for somebody. You just want to give them, this basic idea like, hey, yeah, I should watch what he or she is watching, or you know what, it's not worth my time. So remember those two main steps, that you need to summarize the plot without spoiling, and you need to evaluate both the writing and the acting. And then come up with your decision on whether or not we should take the time to watch this show or watch this movie. Again, I'll have the entire lesson on PowerSchool for you to utilize, and this is just to help you out. If you have any questions whatsoever, just send me a message and I'll be happy to clarify whatever it is. See you tomorrow.